What is up, guys? Jeremy Scott here. We're going to discuss protein, carbs, and fats, and a little bit about calories, and should you be logging your calories. So whether your goals are fat loss, if you want to lose weight, lose fat, you want to lose inches, or if your goals are hypertrophy, if you're trying to get some size on you, trying to get stronger, you're trying to get them gains, you're trying to put on a little bit of muscle, or if your goals are just maintenance, if you're okay where you're at, if you're just trying to maintain your weight and stay fit, stay healthy, stay functional. So, should you log your calories? Do you have to? Do you absolutely have to log your calories? It all depends, and it changes from person to person. If you're happy with where you're at, if you're just maintaining general fitness levels of where you're at, if you're not gaining, if you're not losing, if you have a healthy physique, if you're totally okay with where you're at, your body fat percentage, you're not really trying to gain, you're not trying to lose, you're just eating healthy. If you're eating the right foods, if you have good eating habits, you don't necessarily have to log your calories. That's if you're happy with where you're at. However, and that would be maintenance. So if you have maintenance goals, if you're just trying to maintain and you're eating the right foods, okay, you're not eating a bunch of crap processed foods, and it's going to show in your physique, it's going to show in your body your food choices or your nutrition choices. If you're eating processed multi-ingredient foods, then it's going to show in your physique. You're not going to look healthy. Your body fat's going to be up. You're not going to be able to maintain a good amount of muscle, unless the rare occasion, if you're just a genetic freak and you can eat whatever the hell you want and you look shredded and you're jacked, genetics play a big role. However, for the rest of us who we have to eat clean and we got to work out hard to, maintain a healthy, good, fit body and physique, and to maintain good, maintain our weight. So what we're looking at here, if you have fat loss goals, if your goal is to lose body fat or lose weight, you have to take in a certain amount of protein, carbs, and fat. Let's say you weigh 200 pounds and you want to get to 190 or whatever. Let's say you want to lose 10 pounds and you're not losing weight from your current eating habits. And you say, well, I need to eat less. So I'm just going to start eating less. Okay, there's one way to do it. This is if you eat consistently the same. Let's say for lunch you have all the time, you have chicken and rice, and you know your portion. You just kind of scoop it onto the plate. You can kind of eyeball it and get away with it. Do half the amount of rice. Maybe for dinner, if you have steak and potatoes, eat half the potato. That's one way. But very rarely does anybody eat the same thing every single day. We eat different foods. We try different recipes. We prepare our foods in different ways. So it's very important to keep track of how many protein, carbs, and fats you're taking in, especially if you're trying to hold on to lean muscle mass, okay, and just lose body fat. Then it's very important to make sure where you're cutting those calories from, especially if you're trying to, like I said, if you're trying to maintain lean muscle mass, you want to make sure you're still taking in enough protein and maybe start dropping the carbs down a little bit. Because when you're in a caloric deficit, if you're trying to lose weight, if those calories start coming from protein, then your body is going to start dumping off lean muscle mass real quick. You're not going to be happy with the result, especially if your goal is to hold on to as much lean muscle mass as possible. So if you have fat loss goals, you have to track your calories. You got to keep track of how many calories you're taking in. You have to. This is just part of the process. Okay? If you don't track your calories, it's just not going to happen. You got to hold yourself accountable. If your goal is to gain muscle, if you want to put on weight, yes, you have to track your calories. You're probably going to need to start increasing your protein intake. If you're not getting the results that you want to get, if you're not getting what you want out of the process, if you're not putting on enough muscle and you're not tracking your calories, then you got to make a change. It's about how bad you want to see changes. It's all about how bad you want to see results. How important is it to you? I want to lose X amount of pounds. I want to gain X amount of pounds. It's very important to me. Well, how important is it to you? And what are you willing to do to get it? What are you willing to sacrifice? I don't want to weigh out my food. I don't want to meal prep. It's just too hard. It's too challenging. It's too much of a pain in the butt. I don't have time. Well, those are all excuses. And the more you make excuses, the more time is going to go by and nothing's going to change. You're not going to get results. It's not just going to magically just fall into your lap. You can't wish for it. You got to work for it. And you got to work hard for it. You got to earn it. It's not going to be given. It's going to be earned. So it's all about how bad do you want it and what price are you willing to pay to get it? What are you willing to give up in return? You cannot have something for nothing. So fat loss, muscle gain, maintenance. If you're happy with where you're at already and you just want to maintain and you have good eating habits, you don't need to track. But once again, fat loss, weight loss, you have to track your calories. You got to log. You got to hold yourself accountable. So depending on what your goals are, most likely you're going to have to track your calories. Keep track of your proteins, carbs, and fats. And you want to keep track of how many grams of each and keep track of your macros. What are the percentages? And if you don't know what your percentages should look like, then you could think about getting a coach, and a coach can help you to dial that in, or you can do some research, watch some of my videos, and you're going to learn real quick what your percentages should look like. The more you log, the more you're going to learn, and the more comfortable you're going to be doing it. If it's new to you, don't get discouraged. This is confusing. This is too hard. I don't understand it. It's not going to happen overnight. It's like learning a new language. You got to be patient with yourself. You got to be willing to give up some of your time and some of your energy and learn. And once you learn, and once you make this a habit, everything is going to begin to go downhill, meaning you're going to pick up speed and it's going to get easier for you. You're going to pick up that momentum and it's going to feel a little bit more like coasting. So logging the food for me has always been very challenging. Feels tedious at times. I don't want to do it, but it's now a habit. I've forced myself to do it even when I don't want to do it. And that's so important for developing a habit, is forcing yourself to do something even when you don't feel like doing it. Whether it's logging the food, working out, that's how you develop a habit. When you're tired, when you don't want to do it, when you're not in the mood for doing it, when you don't feel like doing it, that's when it's most important to keep doing it, because that's the habit developing. It's like developing a muscle. You're doing curls and you're getting tired. The weight doesn't want to come up. Your biceps don't want to pull the weight up, right? Because it's getting heavy. You're getting fatigued. The biceps don't want to do the work, but you force it to do the work, and you take that last set to failure, even though you were tired, even though you were exhausted, but you kept going. It's the same thing when it comes to other habits, like logging the food, doing the cardio, reading, stretching, whatever it is. Whatever habit you want to develop, it's going to take work to develop it. But once you develop it, the hard things do begin to get easier. So this part of the process, logging the food, absolutely essential. If your goals are important to you, and if you want this bad enough, and if you're willing to do whatever it takes, then you're going to log your food. You're going to hold yourself accountable, and you're going to keep track. And you're going to get results by doing this consistently, day in and day out. This is just part of the process. This is what we do. Us fit people, me, you. If you're watching this video, then being fit is important to you. You didn't click on this video by accident. Okay, if you're watching this video, then you have some type of goals. You're watching this video for a reason. So this is what we do. We log our food. And I hope that you can start to develop the habit of logging your food as well. So part of the process, measuring out the portions, okay? We measure out the portions. So you got to get a food scale. If you don't have a food scale, you got to get a food scale. So it starts with that. Get a food scale, weigh it out, okay, whatever, grams or ounces or 4 or 5 ounces, and log your food into MyFitnessPal, right? You get your potatoes, 5 ounces. You get your turkey, 5 ounces. Weigh it out, put it in your Tupperwares. Cook your food and meal prep ahead of time. I highly recommend do it ahead of time. It's a time saver. If you're trying to cook fresh meals all throughout the day, if you have the time and energy to do that, then more power to you. But long term, you're going to get tired of that. I've tried it. I've seen others try it and eventually fail at it. But if you want to do that and you can do it, then go right on ahead. But I very, very, very too frequently see people try to do it that way because they don't want to eat microwave food. Yeah, of course, we don't want to eat reheated food in Tupperwares. I would much rather have a fresh meal. But to be realistic, if you're busy, if you're going from place to place, if you're working out, if you're taking care of kids, if you're working, have your food ready, take it to work, pop it in the microwave and eat it. No excuses. Pre-weigh it out and even maybe pre-log it into MyFitnessPal. It's going to be a huge time saver for you, and it's going to make a huge difference. You got to set aside time to meal prep. And I didn't add that in here, but that's another part of the process is meal prepping. Okay, that goes along with right along with logging your calories, having your food prepped and ready, weighed out ahead of time, weigh it out. It's a habit. Every Sunday, I dedicate a couple hours. This is part of my routine. I dedicate time to meal prep. If you want your food a little bit more fresh, you can do it twice a week. Do it twice a week for less time. I do it for the whole entire week. Makes things easier for me. But I set aside time to do this. This is what I do. If I don't have my food ready, I know during the week, I'm screwed. If your food's not ready during the week, you're going to be screwed too. I guarantee it. You got to be prepared. You got to plan ahead of time. Okay? So if you're not prepared, then be prepared to fail. You got to be prepared. So you got to be prepared. We got measure out your portions, log your food into MyFitnessPal daily and consistently, even on the weekends. Those cheat meals, those high calorie cheat meals, those beers, those chips, portion it out and log it. It's so easy to not log the bad food, especially on the weekends. A lot of times we see logging Monday through Friday, then the weekends it's all cheat meals. Everything goes out the window. The goals, what happened? The goals don't matter just because it's the weekend. Your goals still do matter. So log your food even on the weekends. Have your cheat meal. That's fine. Have your burger. Have your beer. Just log it so you're conscious, so you're aware of what's going on, so you're aware of what you're putting inside your body. Log food using MyFitnessPal daily. All right? Log it daily and consistently if you want to get best results. If you're not logging it daily and if you're not doing it consistently, if you're not taking in, if your calorie, let's say your goal is fat loss and your calorie intake is always fluctuating. That's why your weight's fluctuating, because you're not consistently taking in the same amount of calories. So that way when you start to say, okay, I'm not losing weight like I want, let me start to drop my calories, that's what's going to stop you from losing weight consistently. You need to say, okay, let's say I'm taking in 2,000 calories and I'm dropping half a pound per week, and now I'm at a plateau. So now let me drop it down to 1,400 or 1,500. Slowly start dropping and tapering off and dropping the calories down. But you got to log your food so you know what's going on, so you know what's going inside of your body. So logging the food, that's absolute must. Weight loss, muscle gain. If you're not gaining weight the way you want, slowly start to increase the calories. Eat more, log it, keep track. You got to be accountable. This is all part of the process. You've got to put in work. I don't feel like logging my food. I don't want to log my food. Okay, I totally understand. In this process, we got to do a lot of things that we don't want to do. If we want to get results, we have to do things that we don't feel like doing. Plain and simple. We don't want to, we want something for nothing. That's the gambling mentality, right? We want to try to get something for nothing. If we have that gambling mentality, we are guaranteed to fail. We can get something from this process, but we have to give something in return. You got to pay the price. Pay the price of self-discipline or pay the price of regret. What do you want? It's all up to you. You got to choose. You got to make a choice. So if you fail, remember, you failed, or if you quit, that was a choice. If you quit because you failed, that was all your choice. Because of your choices, that's what led you to that failure. Because you chose to not log the calories, chose to not be accountable. So this is part of the process. Logging the calories, hold yourself accountable. That goes next. Accountability and honesty. Got to be honest with yourself. Like I said, too many cheat meals on the weekends and not logging the calories because it's easy to do that, then we're not being honest with ourselves. And another reason why we don't like to log calories, because that holds us accountable. When we log our calories, we're held accountable, and we have to be honest with ourselves about our portions and what we're eating. So you got to stop with the whole BS of, I don't know what's going on. I don't know why I'm gaining weight, but we're not logging calories, or we're not willing to log calories. Oh, I'm so tired of gaining weight. I don't know what's going on with the scale. I don't know why it's not going down, but we're not willing to make changes. If you keep doing the same, you're going to get the same. If you want something to change, then you have to change. Your habits have to change. Your routine has to change. And number 5, challenge yourself. No challenging equals no growth. Okay? If you're not challenging yourself, then you will not grow, you will not change, you will not get the result. It is challenging, it is uncomfortable, but this is the discomfort that you have to go through to get the results. Okay? If you want results, if you want to see changes, if you want growth, you got to be uncomfortable. Remember, if you're not uncomfortable, then nothing's changing and you're not being challenged. I hope that you benefited from this video, and I hope that you start logging your calories consistently. Even if you fail and mess up, I hope you wake up the next day and try again. Wake up the next day and try again. You got to be persistent. You've got to be persistent. You've got to keep trying. You've got to have willpower. You've got to get up and keep trying over and over and over until it becomes a habit. If you fail, that's fine. Tomorrow's a new day. Keep trying again. If you have trouble logging for the whole day, which is very common, only like the first few meals get logged, the rest of the day you're tired, you forget, whatever, you say I'll do it tomorrow, then you don't do it tomorrow. This happens all the time too. This happens to me as well a lot. I don't finish my diary of food logging. So what I do and what works well for me is pre-logging my dinner or pre-logging my last few meals that I always forget to log. That goes back to the saying, if you don't change, then nothing will change. If you want change, then you have to change. So I said to myself, I'm tired of not finishing my food diary, not logging the last few meals, not completing it. So I got to do something different. If I keep doing the same, I'm going to get the same. I want to finish the food diary. I want to be more accurate. I want to be more on point. So what do? I change my routine and I log my last few meals ahead of time, pre-log the last few meals. So this is what it takes. This is the sacrifice that you have to make to reach your fitness goals, keeping track of your protein, keeping track of your carbs, keeping track of your fat. Whatever your goals are, lose X amount of weight, gain X amount of weight. That requires you to take in a certain amount of calories. That's what it's going to take. It requires you to take in a certain amount of protein. It requires you to take in a certain amount of carbs. That's what it takes. That's just the way this process works. So you got to be willing to do this. Write your goals down in a book with a pen and a paper. Not on your phone, not on a computer. Write them down in a book with a pen and a paper and review them regularly. This helps to keep you on track. When you write it down, when you put the pen to the paper, there's a little bit of a connection with your subconscious mind, and then your actions will start to change. But you got to write them down frequently, a few times a week, and your actions will start to change. You've got to be persistent. You can't do it once, say it didn't work and give up. You got to be persistent. This is a process. This is a lifelong process. Track calories, eat the right foods, get more fit until the day that you die. This is what we do. We track what we eat because we care about our goals and we care about our body. We care about our health. Make sure you subscribe and hit that like button down below. Jeremy Scott, out.